I'm local man Aaron VanTuyl, joined today by Chronicle editor-in-chief Eric Schwartz, Chronicle reporter Isabel Vander Stoep, and Vice President Franklin Taylor is not present. Is he on a plane?
I don't know. I think so.
He leads that jet set lifestyle, so he is unavailable today.
You know, like when Inslee leaves, like he just did his Nordic tour. They make Denny Heck the governor.
Yeah.
So when Franklin's out of town, is there someone does Kyle McCarricker become the vice president? Like all of a sudden?
I guess Kyle's in charge.
Yeah, I would say so.
Kyle, shadow president?
I'd say so.
People are talking.
Lieutenant vice president?
He's definitely like the designated survivor.
Yeah. But he goes to a lot of fancy parties, too, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. Curious. We're also joined, of course, by sponsors Summit Funding and The Roof Doctor. And I have no further preamble. Would you two like to jump into the news?
I would, but I would like to say that as just a little taste of how this job is getting to me, I had a nightmare on Saturday that I looked out my window and saw the entire Chehalis River Valley burning.
Oh, geez. That's definitely an environmental dream from having covered the Goat Rocks.
And then And then I couldn't get the story in by deadline because I was stuck at my house because of the fire.
Mm-hmm. If I could count, I can't count the number of dreams I've had where I'm either like on deadline and can't finish, or like the news keeps coming in, or you're not able to file something. It's true.
Most people would be like, I had a dream that I could see the entire Chehalis River Valley from my window. And you're like, I had a nightmare. I looked out my window at this totally normal scene of the entire Chehalis River Valley.
Okay, but I cannot see the entire Chehalis River Valley from my window. The point was that it was like an exaggerated view of like a humongous fire that could never be as big as that.
One day you're going to look out the window and everything's going to be on fire and you're going to be like, not this shit again. And you're just going to close the window and go back to sleep.
I hope I'm never like that.
I have one more thing before the news that I was sharing with Aaron before this. I went to the Ape Cave last Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're going to do your poop story?
Yeah. It was the first time. I mean, you spoiled it, but that's fine. The first time I have been there since I was 16, and my parents let me leave, go on my first camping trip by myself, just with a couple buddies. And I took my 2 kids and went with my dad and my wife, and it was fun. It was magical, and we're moving through the Ape Cave. This is south of Mount St. Helens, and the walls are glistening. My kids are just having a great time. I'm like, I'm going to write the most sentimental column of all time about this, a real coming of age. And then I shifted my flashlight, and there in the corner was a literally steaming pile of shit. Human shit with a big pile of toilet paper next to it. A little ways away was a Swisher Sweet package opened. And then a little after that was a lighter. And it's like somebody had to have, unless they kept the light on for that whole situation, was just sitting there in the complete and utter darkness of the Ape Cave, remembering to bring toilet paper, but not a bag to carry it out in. And this was the short trail,
if you got to poop, you don't want to walk the long trail.
It was like the 0.75 in and out. There's so many porta potties.
They planned that.
Yeah.
Do you think? I think we discussed this, but I can't remember. Do you think they were pooping and smoking the Swisher Sweet at the same time?
That is my working hypothesis, because I think that they were doing their business just off the light of the burn. Just to get a little sense of what was around them, they would take a toke and then they'd continue their business.
I feel like for this plan to be executed, you would have to wake up in the morning and think, I am going to take a poop in the Ape Cave.
Yeah. I mean, if you had to go at that point, it was like I said, it's like the 0.75 mile trail. And we were not even a quarter of the way into it. They went down there to do their business. It was awful. It was awful. And I don't know. I haven't been able to get a column together after that. It ruined the mood.
Oh, no.
It didn't help that after I saw it, my son, who's 7, ran up to it and was like, "What's that?" And I had to physically restrain him away from it.
Oh.
So, anyways, that's my story.
He's so innocent.
Why do they call it the Ape Caves?
According to, there's several different stories online, but according to the one that's actually on the informational board when you go in, it was a Boy Scout type group called the Skamania Apes or something like that, that either discovered it or helped explore it, went in there, some sort of affiliation like that.
All right.
The one I heard originally was there was people, loggers claimed that apes were throwing rocks at them or something. So I don't know.
I think there's also a lot of Bigfoot lore, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I'm sure that's where the ape thing came from.
All right. Shall we go to news now, or do we want to?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I just needed to get that off my chest.
I'm glad you shared that story. That's
If I hadn't
horrible.
shared the story, I couldn't have expensed it. So thank you, Chad and Corley Taylor.
Quick fire update. The Goat Rocks fire is 0% contained. The weather is bad out there, but containment lines around the fire are set up and protecting residential areas. That job is about 92% of the way done. Over 3,600 acres have burned. There's a red flag warning in place today as it is hot and more smoke and fire activity is likely. Also, a tidbit Isabel learned this week from the Forest Service. Some of the stands in the fire have trees that are over 600 years old.
That was a real cool note.
Yeah.
Thank you. I thought so too. I learned that while I was on that Pinchot Partners field trip. And I asked James Donahue, the interim ranger, like I remembered that in Emily's first story about the fire, he had said that area hasn't burned since the 1400s. And I was asking about how they do that dating process because it was sort of related to the field trip and what we were talking about with like succession. So it was really interesting. He just mentioned that offhand and I put it in the next update.
Is it still fair to call this like a running out the clock situation? Like the fire's getting bigger a little bit every day. It hasn't had like a big explosive growth like it did September 9th, but it's just a combination of each day, all the work they can do, plus the fact that rain's coming.
It seems like that, yeah. I mean, they are not going to put this fire out, but the work that they are doing is preventing it from getting to people's homes and hopefully preventing the highway from closing again and those sorts of things. So, I mean, there is like a significant amount of work being done every day, but yeah, obviously like the rain is the only thing that can stop it at this point.
And it is supposed to rain later this week, right?
I don't know if it's like a season-ending rain. I think we'll just have to wait and see for that.
I think people take for granted there's like more than 250 people fighting this fire.
Yeah.
Like if you imagined it was more visible, like here, especially on our end of the county, it would seem, I think, more of a substantial event. I'm sure if you're in the East County, what you're seeing still very much feels like a, maybe not an emergency situation as it was on September 9th, but still, enough to keep you on your toes.
Not to mention air quality and just the fact that it reeks of smoke in East County right now. And that's just a non-fun way to be living for such a long time, too.
All right, next item. New eCare Mortuary seeks to offer Lewis County residents price transparency and more affordable options. EK Mortuary founders Diane Accord and Emily Accord. Is Accord correct?
I'm not sure. It's not my story. But
And
yeah,
Emily,
close enough.
I know it's not your story.
I don't know the pronunciation.
And Emily Dicer said they are focusing on providing families with a complete online funeral home experience. They offer a completely online funeral calculator tool. And does this mean you can finally be buried online along with your digital takes? Can I be plugged into a hotspot once I expire and I can live out my entire afterlife online?
Sort of like a Horcrux, but on Twitter.
Yeah, you just get all that exists anymore is your like Facebook avatar commenting on things.
I think this story is really cool. I think there's a lot of crazy prices in the death industry. And it also makes me think of in the past couple months, I've lost 2 grandmothers. And because of their kindness, the Chronicle has given me an employee discount for the obits. And my parents think that is the funniest thing ever, like discounted obituaries. They're like, we got to die before Isabel doesn't work at the Chronicle anymore. And yeah, anyways. But yeah, no, there's a lot of expenses.
Quote from Diane Accord. She says, the only reason to go into a funeral home and meet with a funeral director is for them to upsell you. We do not believe in upselling, she said before flipping the stationary tablet around on a countertop and offering options for a 15, 20, or 25% tip.
That did not happen. The most interesting thing to me, and probably not to most people, was that part of what they offer is on their website, they give you instructions on how to build a casket if you don't want to pay for one, which I think is pretty cool. And like a do-it-yourselfer here in Lewis County, I'm sure could take that above and beyond the instructions that are on there. But I thought that was pretty neat. The other thought I had was I did get a bit of a taste walking away from the story, like other mortuaries bad. And I've had enough experiences with the mortuaries around here since, starting to work here in 2003. I haven't had a bad experience. They're some of the most caring, thoughtful and compassionate people in the world.
I totally get that feeling too.
I hope that people don't walk away with that. There's lots of things to be said for local mortuaries as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, right. I agree.
Next news item, Chehalis Centralia Railroad will host, quote, School of Wizardry Express event on October 1st and 2nd. The public is invited to experience magic, mystery, and managed mischief on the School of Wizardry Express, according to a news release. It'll feature award-winning magician Jeff Evans, who will teach mystic arts while participants prove their prowess and boast their best at trivia and adventure games in the 1920s historic railroad coaches. It's also...
Sorry.
It's also listed as a non-moving stationary event, but, there's magic involved. Maybe it'll fly or whatever.
Do you think that we should go and just totally school these kids at trivia? Just be in your face.
Was it like Harry Potter trivia or wizard trivia or just general?
Just says boast their best. I don't know. Maybe.
I feel like
also just imagine if Jeff Evans is actually magic and he repairs the railroad and gets them liability insurance all while they're sitting there.
That would be pretty funny.
That'd be sick.
Have you guys seen Jeff Evans? Is he good at magic?
I saw him years and years ago, and it was a school event, and he was good. He was very good. I think it's just kind of cool that we have a local magician. There's not a competing one that I'm aware of. Anytime I see something that's going to have a magician, I know it's going to be Jeff Evans. But
yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen him or even knew he existed.
Maybe he made the competition disappear.
We could bring him on the podcast and just ooh and ah over all of his his magic.
You'll never believe what he's doing
He'll show
right
us.
now.
Yeah.
He's levitating.
And we're like, whoa!
By God, Aaron has been cut in half.
Put me back. Next item, DOT considering options after bridge hit once again by oversized load while already undergoing repairs. A log truck hit the Highway 506 bridge near Vader on Thursday. The bridge, as I just mentioned, is already under construction from where someone hit the other half of it a while back. DOT's Paul Mason said they are evaluating their options, one of which is just telling Lewis County no more bridges until you stop hitting the ones you have. Mason also took the driver to the broken overpass and rubbed his nose in it. Where do you guys stand on hitting bridges? Should we disavow that, right?
Yeah, we disavow
it's taking you an awful long time to respond, Isabel.
It's surprising how often it happens. That's why we have the new chamber.
It says right on there, this is how tall the bridge is.
Right, that's my thing. Is I just wonder how it happens so often, and I also wonder if the driver is like, oh no, I'm gonna have to hit this bridge because I can't just turn around right here on the freeway, or if they don't realize it until they're going under it. Right? I mean,
I feel like if you're driving a truck with a big load, you got to know how tall it is and you need to check the bridges. There's not that many overpasses. You can check. It's definitely the driver's fault. And I'm sure they'll be held accountable as they have in the past. What I found was somewhat humorous was DOT told Emily Fitzgerald, who wrote the story up. We have an update on it, by the way, on Cronline today. Mm-hmm. That they had a contractor and the bridge inspector were there when it happened. And can you imagine how upset you'd be? You'd done all this work and you literally damn it.
Oh, no.
Come on.
So much wasted.
Oh, that's such a
They
bummer.
pitched it as it was like a convenience because the inspector could go check out the new damage. But
yeah, and the bridge is already closed down, I guess.
Yeah.
Because they're working on it because somebody else already hit it.
The update, though, is, and this could change tomorrow, so there'll be another update, and we'll update it to Cronline if that happens, but from 9 p.m. till 6 a.m., Thursday into Friday, the interstate will be closed. So at that point, and it's going to be a huge backup because it'll detour everyone off the ramps, but it's going to take some time.
They should make the guy that hit the bridge stand there holding the detour sign.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
When it happened, that was the day I went to the Ape Cave, so we drove and saw the backup, and my goodness, I've never seen a freeway backed up that much. It was from Toledo almost to Castle Rock, which is a long ways. Mm-hmm. And then on the way back, I opened my phone when I got service, and the Chronicle was reporting that it was open, and I just told my dad, I was like, we're all in on this. We're going. We're not going to take the shortcut. The Chronicle's right, and they were.
Good.
That's great.
Next item, Chehalis residents express concerns over new apartment complex on 21st Street. This is K&W Properties, owned by Carl Werner, the same group that built the Jackson Villa or whatever on Jackson Highway, just south of town.
I love those. I love those.
They're fine.
Townhouses. I've been in them. I think they're really nice.
All right. A glowing endorsement from Isabel. Anyway, they got a new 52-unit development, and the neighbors are not as enthusiastic as you are.
Yeah, I should have waited to say something, but I'm sorry.
This may surprise you, but the neighbors don't like it. It might affect flooding, and traffic isn't great, and 21st Street isn't big enough for 2 trucks at once sometimes, and one person who spoke out against this, or at least expressed concern, said that he's seen children walking on the road that have to dive into the ditch to avoid being run over. Anyway, the next step in the process will be the city council approving K&W's rezoning request, which will most likely occur at the end of October. As they've already built so many of these in that same area, I feel like it's probably going to go through.
I don't want to say that these are invalid concerns. Like, I just sort of tend to think that the answer with these sorts of things is not let's not build more affordable housing, but let's build the correct infrastructure that makes these things work.
Yeah, it seems like there's probably some like mitigation that's in order.
And this housing isn't subsidized. And like this is an actual housing development. Developers, local developers are coming in and building it. And
right. I'm sorry. When I say affordable, I just mean like it's not. It's not something you.
It's not a $600,000 house or something like that. I also thought it was cool because this all came out because one resident came to a Chehalis City Council meeting to express concerns about it. And I thought, tip of the cap to Chehalis because you had one person express concerns and they held a meeting with the city manager, the planning and building manager, the mayor, a city councilor, public works director, and the street superintendent. So they threw their full attention at it. And I think that, that should instill a little confidence in the residents that at least if it still does go through, that these people are all aware of the problem and maybe they can, like you guys said, make some improvements to 21st Street.
Yeah. Next item, Department of Agriculture says bird flu uptick likely this fall. With the fall migration of waterfowl, both domestic and commercial poultry flocks will have a higher risk of catching the same strain of bird flu that was found in several Washington counties late last spring. 34 flocks have been infected by the deadly virus this year, which can be spread by any kind of bird. Mm-hmm. Any kind.
34 flocks in the state.
You know what would really slow down the spread of this bird flu? is if we stuck some windmills out there.
It's actually a pretty astute observation.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure that windmills don't really affect migrating waterfowl the way they affect raptor species.
They kill eagles.
They kill indiscriminately.
That's a raptor. That's a raptor species.
Oh, well.
Aaron's just thinking about dinosaurs.
By the way, I don't know why I'm talking about this on the podcast, but I would really like to do the Christmas bird count this year. Can I do that?
Oh, yeah. We do it. We try to do it every year. Somebody does. So I think it's a good idea.
No,
I get it. You want to conduct it. We write it up every year.
I know that. But yes. I would like to go on it.
You can absolutely do that.
Sweet.
Okay.
But you have to do it from the Skookumchuck Wind Project in...
That's not in the circle. That's not in the bird count circle.
You're going to report your birds. I'm very familiar with the bird
count circle.
Everybody's just getting excited about your bird report. I got 7 bald eagles, 8 hawks. And then you're just like, and they were all dead.
And a northern spotted owl.
Found them in a pile. Anyway, bird owners should fence out shared water sources / ponds, especially as rain increases the amount of standing water in fields. And they should eliminate outdoor feeders, especially at night. To read more about poultry biosecurity measures, visit poultrybiosecurity.org.
P.S. One other thing that I wanted to mention about that Pinchot Partners tour that also is not on here is we were talking about like old growth, and there was this one moment where I was an inch away from pointing into the forest and going, look, a spotted owl. And then I was like, you know what? That's too loaded. Like, it's very possible someone could be really upset with that joke. And I was like, I shouldn't be so crass. But anyways, I don't know why I needed to share that.
I'm glad you got a chuckle and we got a chuckle. So it's good.
Yeah, very, very
I thought
funny.
it was funny, but then I was like, yeah.
It would have been a little sensitive.
I agree.
Next item, Onalaska Apple Harvest Festival brings back the full lineup. The festival takes place September 29th through the 2nd, which is
Thursday through Sunday.
I was ticking them off on my fingers. Attendees can carve up on pancakes at the Presbyterian Church before hitting the pavement for the annual 5K run and walk at Carlisle Lake. Or if apples are your speed, you can buy a taste of pies that are part of the apple pie contest and vote in the People's Choice Awards. Or buy a whole pie at the pie auction, or test your mettle at the pie eating contest. They're really going all in on the pie, aren't they?
It's a lot of pie.
You can also take in the sounds of local music acts while strolling through vendors and activities along Carlisle Avenue and Carlisle Park. And you can bring in your own apples to be pressed into cider by the Onalaska football team.
I love this image, like that the football players are all just like pressing down on the apples themselves.
Just
like that's a workout.
No cider press.
Yeah.
That would be pretty sweet.
It was very kind of you not to rub my headline typo in my face. I very quickly posted this story last night when Karina filed it, and it said Onalaska's Apple Harvest Festival. I changed it. But
Onalaska's?
Yeah, instead of the A at the end, there was an S. It was Onalaska's.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I had. I didn't notice it until this morning. So,
well, everybody in Onalaska surely saw it, and they're like, that fool.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'll never show my face in that town again. That is probably one of my favorite festivals, though.
It sounds cool. Maybe I don't know. I might go.
You should.
I was considering going as well.
There's a fun run, Aaron. I know how much fun you have running.
I
saw you
correct.
today.
I did, yes.
Just out there on the States dime.
I was. I did make a full 1 mile loop. It was taking all kinds of time. I noticed you on the Chronicle dime, just leaving from home to head to work.
It was my lunch. There was a sandwich in the fridge.
10:30 in the morning.
I forgot it. Mm-hmm. It was 11.
Sus. Anyway, next item. Lewis County selects Samia Hanlon as Director of Public Health and Social Services. She started Friday. She's done a bunch of other different jobs for the county over the last 8 months. Did I get that right? She seems like she's pretty good at this kind of stuff.
Wait, what? No. Doing a handful of different jobs for the county over the last 8 months.
8 years.
Was it 8 years?
She's been working.
Yeah, I thought she had just switched. I was incorrect.
No, it's okay.
You fool.
She's been working for public health for 8 years, so not like a lot of different jobs.
Yeah, I thought I read it as she had done something different than transposed years. And anyway, Mia Hanlon has a new job.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said it like that. I should have been more forgiving, but
but she's good, right?
Yes. We love her.
Okay, great. Good for her. Schwartz,
Good
your
job
silence.
calling him out on it. If you don't bop him in the nose with a rolled up newspaper, he'll just keep doing it over and over again.
Yes, I sure will.
This was
friend of the podcast also.
Isabel's the county reporter, so I feel obligated to say this wasn't something she wrote up. I wrote this one up from a county press release. So
you wrote something?
No, I didn't write anything.
He writes a lot of stuff.
I lightly
these days.
edited it.
He
does more.
A press release.
He does more of that sort of thing now than any other time
It's
I've worked
news
here.
foraging. You just go look around online for news. Low effort stuff,
Yeah.
Survival. It's like a live, but it's the news. You die if you don't find your own sustenance.
So
what is a live? What are you talking? What is
Alone. That reality show.
Next item.
Alive is a completely different movie.
Next item. Hoof rot or not? WDFW wants reports of elk with limps, misshapen hooves.
Okay, I thought this headline was really funny. I hope somebody else thought it was cool. But also, when it was on the proofs,
Oh, give me a break.
it said, wants reports of elk with limbs, misshapen hooves.
It's okay.
And I was the only person who noticed that was wrong. I was the last person to proof that page. And I was like, how did you...
Oh, you don't know the confidence you instill when you're proofing. So like those that don't know, we print out a sheet for every page and then all the reporters read it. And it's not a shot at the other reporters or myself, It's not a shot at me. But you read it and you make your corrections and you sign your signature. Your signature is, I give it it's worth 3 signatures.
Dang.
So I consider it's good to go.
That's I better really actually start reading things then.
And I also had a death notice one time for a woman named Violet, and I wrote violent, and nobody caught that.
Oh, maybe she
I
was
caught
violent.
it at the very end, but that was it. The last minute gaze has caught some stuff.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I also wrote violent, so
Anyway, a Facebook user posted a photo of an elk with gnarly hoof spikes. Isabel, is this you?
Sorry.
You wrote I in here. You
I'm
spoke
sorry.
with the...
I forgot that you are going to read it.
You spoke with the Fish and Wildlife specialist on what residents should do when they see that sort of thing. The moral of the story was the elk probably doesn't have a hoof rot, a deadly, highly pervasive infection in Southwest Washington that causes inflamed hoof issues. However...
Hoof tissue.
Tissue. Jesus. However, the cow probably has laminitis. You used the word cow here. Are you sure that's what it meant?
Yeah.
Sure. We've
It
been
means a female
Wasn't a steer.
elk. I'm aware of what you're referring to, but in this case, it is actually more accurate than just saying elk.
Okay. Anyway, the cow probably has laminitis. Oh, Jesus. Which is caused from dietary issues and often results in the same symptoms.
It's okay if you don't like this. We can just move on.
No, I like it. There's just words in here I don't know, and so I'm mumbling through them.
Laminitis?
It's a thing that horses, donkeys,
So they get
deer
flat and smooth
can
on both
get.
sides?
And basically, if they eat too many carbs, usually they go lame.
Oh, laminitis. Well, Schwartz, you're familiar.
Sick bird. I'll accept that.
Anyway, these issues can come from feeding on agricultural lands or from humans feeding elk, which is bad. So it's important for residents to know their role in preventing hoof diseases. Don't feed the elk full Legros and punch them in the face instead. To learn more, search WDFW Elk Hoof Disease to help inform the agency of sickly or dead elk. Click the link stating report limping elk or elk with hoof deformities. That was a wild ride.
Thank you for doing that.
I was like surprised that they said, no, it's not hoof rot. And I'm like, and when I'm reading your copy, I was like, oh, what a relief. And then the guy was like, but it can cause the exact same thing. So, yeah.
It's hoof rot. Well, I mean, a rotten hoof by any other name.
This guy, the ungulate specialist, Kyle Garrison, I loved talking to him. So interesting. I mean, that there's a person who specializes in this, and his job is to like go to different sites where elk have reported issues and see what's going on and study them to prevent this sort of thing. I just think that's so cool. Mm-hmm. I want that job.
You want to go check out rotten?
But you could be the
elves?
Chronicle's ungulate expert.
Aww.
It's way more important.
Next
It's
item.
not as important.
Lewis County has highest fall rate leading to injury or death in the state. We are number one, people.
You moved my mic when you did that.
Yeah, well,
He
sorry.
pounded his fist on the table in case
very loud.
that didn't pick up.
The
Yeah.
mic almost fell, resulting in death or injury to the mic.
Yeah, eat it, Pacific County.
Can we talk about the lead in this story?
Sure.
I helped write it, which is why I'm proud of it. But autumn is around the bend, but local healthcare providers encourage senior citizens to take whatever safety measures they can to prevent a fall.
My God, that was so smooth. I didn't catch it when I read it.
It's so good.
It's pretty good.
It's not bad. Yeah,
As far as senior citizens falling, that's a very good lead.
yeah.
Thanks. I helped Emily with that. And also she had the idea in the first place. So I can't take full credit, but it was fun.
You didn't want to go with this fall, don't take an autumnal?
No, that's not even good.
That sucks.
I see why you left the business.
Lewis County in particular has a glaring problem when it comes to ground level falls, defined as falls from a height of 1 meter or less that result in serious injury or less. Should that be serious injury or death?
Yeah, probably.
Wow, you guys want to pat yourselves on the back a little more?
Yeah. No, but Emily did a good job on the story. Riverside Fire Authority wanted us to write the story for a long time and make it so it was timed for like Fall Prevention Day or something like that. And it ended up working out that she went over to the senior center and covered a whole bunch of presentations. They're going senior center to senior center.
Let's see. Laura Hansen from Riverside Fire Authority cited a Department of Health report created from trauma data sent by hospitals around the state, saying the county has the worst fall rate with serious injury or death in the entire state. Backed up by statistics, Lewis County, the worst at fall. Another quote, we're kind of leading in all areas of our elderly falls, said Centralia Providence Program Coordinator Marty Kozart, referencing the report and showing off his 2008 state football championship ring.
Oh my gosh. I forget a lot of the time that Aaron's like a local sports stat savant, and then he just like pulls up some insane.
Oh, he likes to flex.
Yeah.
Marty Kozart with the quarterback for the championship Napavine football team in 2008.
Yes, we all remember and know about
You
and
should.
care about.
It was an important team. I covered that game. It was Napavine's second state title. They now have 3. Anyway, why do you guys think? Why do you think the olds are so bad at falling down in this county?
I just think we have a higher number of senior citizens than.
Well, I
counties.
think it's because the senior citizens are so, more prone in this county to read the local newspaper, and they're constantly picking it up and seeing glaring errors and falling to their death.
Serious injury or less. Okay, fair enough.
Anyway, yeah, that's all I had on that.
It was a far more interesting story. Like, and I'm not that the issue isn't important to me or like, I don't mean that, but we have this senior section that goes out quarterly. And I'd say that's probably the most interesting story we've had. When Emily said she was going to write about it, I didn't realize Lewis County has the worst statistics when it comes to the matter.
Definitely the most localized senior story I can think that we've got in that section since I've been here.
Also, according to the commenters, if you're installing bars in your house so you don't fall, don't do the suction cup ones because those tend to fail quite frequently. So we could just have like a prolific suction cup salesman here in Lewis County that's leading to all this, according to the commenters.
Oh, that could be it.
All right.
It wouldn't be my go-to. Actually, it would. I'm a lazy man.
You would 100% just suction cup up there.
I would just like do one of the screws when there's like 4 different screw holes.
You'd be like, oh,
That's
this
good
is
enough.
All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back in a minute.
Hi, this is Jasek from Summit Funding. Here's what a recent client is saying about us.
Hi, this is Chad Taylor. Have you been thinking about purchasing or refinancing your current home? The team at Summit Funding is the best in class. Looking for a conventional FHA, VA, USDA, jumbo, or even a reverse mortgage? Trust the team at Summit Funding. Coralie and I did, and we couldn't be happier.
Thank you to all of our past clients. If you have any questions, give us a call at 360-330-4037.
All right, we're back. It's time for Tales from the Takes page, where we review what happened in the opinion section. First up, we've got a column from Brian Mitke titled "Considering the Value of Bart and Ted's Excellent Adventures."
Again, every damn week.
God, you guys are so... You don't want to hear my... You know what? It was an email from CT Publishing. I hope you're happy. You goddamn spamming me in the middle of a podcast.
God.
Anyway, Mickey is a fan of these soft news stories like the one on Bart the Very Old Donkey. Quote from his column, "These kind of stories are a delight. They're a breath of fresh air in this overwhelmingly heavy time. Or they might be about animals. They show us what we have in common as humans. They also tell us how we can find extraordinary joy hidden in the humdrum of normal life." Yeah, I just thought, Mickey, he's back in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, Mitke messages me every Friday, and I'm always too busy to respond. But sometimes, it happens quite a bit, he'll say, no column this week. I just don't have any inspiration. And then, like, the next message I get from him, like an hour later, is column's filed. He does that all the time.
He's a consummate professional.
He really is.
He's a good columnist.
He really is. We appreciate Brian Mitke a lot. And I liked that column. We've already talked about Ted the Mule and Bart the Donkey. But, yeah, that was a good column. And I agree with him. It's fun to break up the heavy, hard-hitting news with some just silly stuff.
Yeah.
I try to do it whenever I can. I think when I was growing up, that's what I remember being most fond of in the Chronicle, and the fact that this paper has always been willing to give space to that sort of thing, or just sort of take the levity and the funniness of local news and put it out there. I just feel like it's been a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's like what separates papers that kind of take themselves more seriously. Won't name any names, but like in ones that are just like a true community newspaper that, I think it's
show
like
all sides of the community.
It's the type of thing that gets Speedo Man into the paper.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like if you remember Speedo Man. And it's always obvious people love that stuff because it takes off like virally, or even, before social media, just in the paper, people calling saying they love it. So.
Is this your way of saying you're finally going to pull the trigger on Rockwall Man?
I want Mitke to pull a flying lotus of sorts and somehow get Speedo Man into his column, if he hears this. But he has to combine it with something very... Speedo Man and Goat Rock's fire. Those are the two I want. Brian Midkey, if you're listening. I mean, a couple weeks ago, he did like the importance of marriage in the Scatter Creek fire.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I thought was interesting.
He has range.
Yeah, he does have range.
But yeah, as we've been discussing this off mic for a long time, but Rockwall Man, I think it's time.
Rockwall Man?
Rockwall Man.
Don't know what you're talking about.
I don't think we have been discussing this.
On the way home.
Oh, yeah, there's a guy on North Pearl Street.
Pearl.
He's been building a fence around his house made of rock, but it's like super high.
He's like got like wire fencing that goes up the sides, and then he's filling it with rocks and kind of like stitching it together somehow. And it's up to like, he's got like a 3 or 4 foot section around, and then he's building a second section the same height on top of it. I think he's got a 3 foot section. He's working on the second 3 foot.
Do you think he wants to climb it when it's done?
We have no idea what he's doing.
Because it's not like rock climbing wall. It's just like,
he bought a bunch of rock and is just filling it in.
How long has this been going on?
Volleyball-sized rocks,
months.
maybe?
It gets higher every time you drive by.
I mean, that's like a lot of work.
I know.
Would you be willing to stop by?
I would, absolutely.
Thank God. We're going to get to the bottom of this.
You should have told me about it a while ago. You haven't mentioned it.
We see it all the time.
I drove by today.
He's out working on it like late in the afternoon.
It's high enough now that I drove by today, and when I saw him working on it, he's now wearing a hard hat for like fear of falling rocks because it's getting up taller.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably a good
I noticed he
idea.
has a bunch of solar panels on his roof now too. So I'm like, is this like a cooling thing? Like, will it cool his house to have surrounded by rock? I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
But maybe.
Maybe he's creating like an ape cave feel, which I would advise against after my experience.
Maybe he's
going to come outside one day and somebody's going to be smoking a Swisher and pooping in his yard.
Maybe he's creating one of those like earth dens, that's like totally made of natural material and self-sustaining or whatever.
Could be, yeah. Anyway,
we'll find out.
We will find out soon, finally. There's also a ton of election-related letters in the opinion section, but, I mean, you know what they say.
Yep. I don't really need to talk more than that. I've returned to sharing them on Facebook just because we were getting complaints from so many people. And so we did that over the weekend. And a share does not equal an endorsement of the letter, if that has to be said. The hottest race is Murphy versus Snaza. We're getting a lot of letters in that race. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was interesting. If you want to check out the letters, go to Cronline. There's a current law enforcement officer in favor of Snaza. There's a current law enforcement officer in favor of Murphy. There's good diversity in the letters to the editor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. People's Champion of the Week. I have nothing.
This one's already been a People's Champion of the Week, but I want to give it to her again, based not as much, but also still including her performance as a law enforcement officer. But for me, it was her performance in court. And I'm talking about Andrea Moore. She was a Thurston County Sheriff's Office deputy who last year responded to a report in Yelm of suspicious circumstances, and there was a convicted violent rapist who had entered this elderly woman's home, told her he was going to rape her. Someone was able to call 911, and she showed up. Long story short, he surged at her and stabbed her in the neck, stabbed her a bunch of times, and she almost died. When the second deputy showed up, she was laying there next to him because she was able to pull her gun and shoot him. They're just both laying there bleeding out, basically. And she lived. So he was convicted recently this week. He's going to serve about 27 years in prison. And Emily Fitzgerald just filed this story a bit ago. But it says she, being the deputy, addressed Clayton directly in her comments to the court on Monday, saying that, quote, he sought out those he deemed weak in an effort to show dominance. And she continued, you failed, and I, a woman, am who took you down, which I thought was pretty powerful.
Bravo.
Scathing.
And I mean, I don't know her exact height, but she is a small person. Like, I think she's, I'm not even going to guess, 5'4", 5'5", something like that. And Clayton, the suspect in this case, is a very large, imposing man.
5'5" is not small.
But compared to a very large, violent sex offender, it is. And I don't know.
I'm just teasing.
Eric Rosane, our former reporter, now at the Tri-City Herald, stayed at the scene of this thing until like midnight or 1 a.m. when it happened. So it's kind of always been a case that this newspaper's taken very personally, but very heroic. And I think we give her a second time nod.
I think
she
that's
is
great.
Great, yeah.
I was gonna say as to what's it called? What's that thing where you don't win but they
Consolation prize?
honorable mention.
Yeah.
The Chehalis United Methodist Church had Pawchella, where they blessed people's pets.
I saw that.
And that included apparently bearded dragons, along with lots of dogs. I thought it was so sweet. And the Morton Historical Museum is honoring a local immigrant family's legacy for the next 5 months. And you can read about that on cronline.com. And it was a really fun story getting to talk to them and their history with the town and their generosity that really helped the community, especially during the Great Depression.
I agree. I think those are both excellent choices.
Yeah. Very
The
good.
blessing of the animals was super awesome. I wish
cool.
I had gone
Good
to
photos.
it. Jared got a fantastic photo. I mean, he got many there, but I thought this one's really remarkable where he has Pastor Zachary Taylor, who we've featured before at Centralia United Methodist Church.
Chehalis United Methodist
Thank
Church.
you for correcting me. Thank you for correcting me. I appreciate it, Aaron.
You're welcome.
On Alaska also appreciates you, as does Serious Injury or Less. Anyways, the dog's looking at the pastor with the owner in the background. I just thought it was an incredible photo. A really
so
great
good.
photo.
Yeah, very good stuff there.
Speaking of this dog, I met this dog for the first time
I know what you're talking about.
at Music in the Field. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, that's a weird dog. So weird. I mean, not bad, so nice, but just so
It's
unusual.
a unique looking dog. It's
And
a
then-
borzoi.
Yeah, we pull up to this thing on Saturday, and the first thing we see is this dog. And Jared and I were like, oh, it's that weird dog.
It's Alexandra Sullivan's dog. Her
Yeah, if
dad
that dog's
is,
listening, we don't really think you're weird.
No, we love it. It's great. It's the best.
There's
kind
so
of
much
weird.
emotion in that dog's face.
So sweet.
very slim dog.
What makes the photo is the person holding the leash is also wearing like a dog ears headband or a cat ears
Yeah.
type thing.
So
That's
cute.
Alex Sullivan. Yeah. Do you want your
Aaron?
local sports connection?
Yes.
Her dad is former Pacific Northwest flat track motorcycle racing champion Mike Sullivan.
Oh, that's a really deep one.
That's
That's
a pull.
good.
I used to work with him at the city of
I
Centralia.
was going to say, I
years
don't think
ago.
you keep up with motorsports, so.
Rosenbaum wrote a story on him.
Okay.
Yeah,
How many leads did it have?
all of them. It had more leads than Sullivan had in his championship race. Anyway, Siren's banger of the week. This one, we don't even get into the details, just the headlines combined to make this one Siren's headline. Swimming in the fountain, sword fighting in the street, driver involved in crash would like to speak to a manager. Just jam-packed
Good
with
job
fun.
with that one.
Yeah, Emily does the siren, so big luck to her. But I do try to get all the headlines in there, and this one was full of them. I remember editing this one and just being like, well, it's like, that's enough Sirens Bangers of the Week for 3 or 4 different news dump podcasts. So.
Yeah, it's perfect.
But yeah, in the crash case, I just thought it was interesting that the caller reportedly said he knows the city manager, the Chamber of Commerce manager, and a commander from Centralia. Like, he was pulling out all the managers.
Who do you think this person was?
Oh, we had a whole conversation about it and trying to figure it out. And I have a couple theories, but I'm not going to say them on mic.
here, yeah.
All right. Do you guys want to hear some Facebook comments of the week?
Never do, but I know you're going to do it anyways. So
On a story about Jay Inslee returning from Europe, the comment is, what a sad sack of bovine feces. He's running a grift on the taxpayers of this state. No one wants to admit voting for him. He couldn't even poll 1% in his own party primaries. That sounds fake. He deserves to be arrested, tried and convicted
they're talking
for
the
his
presidential
crimes.
race. I get it now.
And the media needs to sit alongside him for their complicity in those crimes. Eric Schwartz, how do you plead?
I plead not guilty.
It's just
But the 1%
rant.
thing, just at first I was incredulous, but they're talking about presidential race, and he did not
Yeah.
do very well in that.
Sure.
He didn't.
But no one wants to admit voting for him. He won the election pretty handily.
And it took about 2 minutes of ballot process.
On a story about the Yakima tribe getting Mount Adams back, comment just said, did they forget they lost the war? Sir, resign. And on the new Washington State Employees Credit Union opening up in Chehalis, comment says, expected modern accoutrements arrive in Chehalis. Local caveman media freaks out.
I'm not even mad. That's really good.
It's just a business announcement,
I know,
man.
but it's good. It's good because I worked in Clark County for a while, and it's like a bigger, faster growing area. And I remember one of my first couple of days, I was like, oh, there's a new Chick-fil-A going in. Like, you should probably write about that. And everybody was just like, country bumpkin? What are you talking about? We get new stuff all the time. And I was like, but we don't in Lewis County.
Yeah.
Also, he spelled accoutrements wrong.
You know, I don't care. That's a quality comment.
It's funny.
I think it's a good comment.
It is a good comment.
Compared to some of the other stuff I saw over the weekend. It's probably a good time to address the fact that we have no control over the bots that are attacking all of our comment threads, telling you how much money they make from home.
Please don't click the link.
We ban them all, and we just can't stop.
Keep popping up.
I've done like 6 different reports to Facebook, and as everyone knows, there is no customer service department at Facebook. You just have to kind of live with it. So
it's because you're not a customer.
we ban them, and they never use the same name twice. So. It's quite
But
impressive.
did you know I made $6,000 working from home?
Oh, God, it's been you all along.
What's coming up in
Tomorrow's paper?
Tuesday's paper? Yeah, we're going early.
A lot of what Isabel mentioned. We've got the Morton Historical Museum. We've got the Blessing of the Pets photos. That'll be on the live section. I mean, I think we hit a lot of the main hitters of what's going on. Centralia is accepting nominations for a new Volunteer Special Recognition Award, which I think is a great idea. There was a Chehalis man identified as the pilot in a Oregon plane crash. Sad news that came in over deadline. And if you want, you can join the PL School District school board right now. They have a vacancy if you live in PL.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's finishing out a term too, so no commitment.
Ooh, great.
Also fun.
Well, it's my favorite kind. Anything you want to add, Isabel?
No.
I will add something. Sports Dump will be back this week after being off last week. We'll record, I don't know, later.
You better like double up on all the sponsorships. Double what they normally get.
We're just going to do the Elam's Home Furnishing ad twice.
Maybe just like do a whole episode, but it's like an Elam's Home Furnishing fund drive.
Speaking of that,
Sure.
there is something I wanted to add that I forgot about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just feel like we haven't sung the praises of the roof doctor enough today.
Wow.
It's true.
What a pull.
You know,
Go on.
the roof doctor is a family-owned roofing company that does emergency roofing and can make house calls and which I don't know how else they would do the work, but it's still funny.
You just mail your roof.
And does free estimates, I think, is the thing.
Yep.
But
And
are they family owned?
I said that in
For
the
how
beginning.
long?
1959.
Since
Yeah.
1959.
Don't take our word for it, though. Leslie says, the Roof Doctor Olympia did excellent work for us on 2 properties. Everyone was professional and treated us with respect. They did high-quality work, and they did it quickly. I would recommend them for any roofing job.
But what if I wanted to call them?
Well, Alden J.H. says, great to have a well-coordinated professional team on the job. From quote to finish, first class. Highly recommend.
What's that? Their address is 1522 Bishop Road, Chehalis, and their phone number is 360-634-8255. That's phenomenal.
They also have locations in Shelton, Hoquiam, Longview, Tacoma, and Olympia.
Larry and L
No.
on March 20th said, great company to work with. We're very happy with our new roof. It's better than their old roof.
Just
that should tell you enough.
Could not
What
say.
more could you ask?
Could not say it better.
All right. In closing, we're sponsored by, if you couldn't tell, the Roof Doctor, as well as Summit Funding. Leave a review and a rating on Apple Podcasts if you want. Do you want to finish it? You've been so